Apple fans, get excited. You'll soon be able to drive in one of their products. Bloomberg reports the tech company aims to unveil the vehicle in 2025.
It's going to remove one thing that you see here in these pictures: no steering wheel. So there's that. Yeah. Apple wants the car to be fully self-driving, so no need to put your hands on the wheel. And pedals, what about those things? Those will be gone too. The seat's different as well, as we said.
In today's Tech Bites, a self-driving electric car may be Apple's next big thing. The tech giant is reportedly working to put a futuristic vehicle on the road by 2025. Walmart is teaming up with the drone delivery company Zipline to bring much-needed health and wellness items to customers' homes. Drones will drop drugstore items in front or backyards within 30 minutes of purchase.
Talk to us about this refocus, the fully self-driving capability. Why? Why leapfrog the sort of half versions we currently have?
Well, that's what Apple does, right? They only enter new product categories when they're able to come out with the leapfrog product. You saw that with the original iPhone. You saw that with the iPad. You saw that with the Apple Watch. They really want to create a car that's a hands-free experience. They're redesigning the interior and exterior around the idea of having a car with no wheels or pedals.
As soon as next year, that's fast. Is the regulation there, Mark?
Oh, not next year, 2025. 2025 is when they want to debut the car as early as. Perhaps it's going to launch, actually hit the streets a few years after that, but their current target is 2025 for an actual announcement.
And tell us what the driving force is from an executive perspective here. Who's putting this pedal to the metal to a certain extent?
So the new person in charge, his name is Kevin Lynch. He was one of the major pioneers behind the Apple Watch. So he's the guy at Apple who has the experience launching from the beginning to the release the last actual new product category from Apple. And this is the person now in charge of the car. He's a software expert, a management expert. He's not a car expert. He's not an autonomy expert, but they do have the right people under him that he's working with to really push this thing forward.
How much market share inherently do they want to win? How ubiquitous do they want a car to become when they are clearly, so successful in getting the phone in our hands, the watches in our hands, the services?
Yeah, but before really knowing what your market share is going to look like, how many sales you're going to have, how much money you're going to need to make, what you really need to do first in this car space is settle on a business model. But there's also the fleet approach, perhaps developing a service similar to Waymo or Uber or Lyft, where you have self-driving taxis of sorts rolling through city streets. So I think likely individual ownership is going to be the route because that is the Apple business model.
We are no strangers to surprises from Apple. The company has shocked us before.
All right, you want to see that again? Very thin. It's just like this.
The question is, what's next? What shocking thing could Apple introduce?
We have confirmed from multiple sources that Apple is in discussions with Hyundai Kia to build an Apple car.
For years, automakers have been trying to integrate your phone into your car, and now it feels like this has been turned on its head. It's integrating your car essentially into your phone.
We've seen this kind of reporting in the past with Apple, and then nothing happens.
If Apple does end up producing a car, it's not going to be easy. Take it from someone who knows a thing or two about starting a car company. During a shareholders meeting with Tim Cook in 2016, he said news about the car project will be, quote, like Christmas Eve for a while. Apple is one of the most valuable companies in the world, and it could become massively more valuable if it can make a splash in cars.
The thought of Tesla and what Tesla had shown it could do gave people in Silicon Valley this idea that maybe building cars wasn't as hard as everybody always thought. There was this new hope that maybe new entrants could arrive, and that was going to be very bad for Detroit.
Reuters reported in December of 2020 that Apple was looking to start production of its car by 2024.
The big three are asking the federal government for between $7 and $18 billion each.
Bankruptcy at this point in time would be cataclysmic for the economy. I really believe that.
Besides, Apple had just launched the iPhone in 2007 and was on its way to redefining the smartphone and the Apple brand.
There was two things already going on. Google was working on a self-driving car, and Tesla, this small startup in Silicon Valley, was gaining more and more attention for its cars.
In the time since, Apple has made some interesting investments and partnerships. The company gave $1 billion to Chinese Uber competitor Didi Chuxing in 2016. Talent from BlackBerry, NASA, and others have been commissioned for the project. Even former Tesla employees have been courted to Project Titan, including former Tesla autopilot, powertrain, mechanical design, firmware engineers, and global supply chain managers. That certainly raised some eyebrows. Musk called it the Tesla graveyard in 2015. Apple's building a car, Apple's not building a car, Apple's building the guts of a car. And recently, sources told CNBC that Apple will be manufacturing an autonomous car with Hyundai Kia in Georgia.
Kia saying they are not currently in talks with Apple to develop a car.
Quite a few years ago when it was Project Titan, it was so exciting and everyone was talking about it. Then it felt like it died off. And then it felt like it'd gone through a few iterations of being resurrected. And then now I feel like all of a sudden everyone is talking about it.
Tech companies are looking for the next screen in your life to make money off of. And the bet and the hope is that it's in the car.
Reports thus far have been speculation about an electronic vehicle with better battery technology, autonomous driving technology, and a signature Apple design.
Just a functional autonomous car is enough of a wow factor these days, particularly from a company that's not in automotive. You're not necessarily expecting Apple to come out with a vehicle.
If you went back to 2015, there was a feeling that when Apple was getting involved, that this was going to happen immediately. What a lot of people in Silicon Valley have realized is that making cars is much harder than they thought.
Tesla is a rare example of how a newcomer can reimagine the slow-moving and exclusive auto industry.
If you go back to the 1960s, when Hyundai first came on the scene, since then, there's only been one other company that has become a mass market car maker, and that is Tesla.
Like Tesla, a new car company would face issues with financing the staggeringly expensive task of building an automobile manufacturing operation. Perhaps more than any other company from any sector, from any country in the world. In its first fiscal quarter of 2021, iPhone and iPad sales pushed Apple's revenue to over $100 billion for the first time ever.
One of the benefits Apple would have is that it has a lot of money, and it has a green shoot, if you will, to do this. That said, one of the disadvantages that Apple has is that it doesn't have generations and generations of experience designing and building and selling cars.
Elon Musk said that Apple might have a harder time building a car than it did building a smartphone or a watch, saying, quote, "You can't just go to a supplier like Foxconn and say, build me a car." Funny thing is, Foxconn, Apple's main iPhone and iPad assembler, is now very much involved in the automotive industry, partnering with Chinese car manufacturer Zhejiang Geely.
The future is more than just perhaps selling the metal that's on the wheels. It's also the value that's being created as those wheels turn, whether that's the data that the user has or potentially that ecosystem within the car. So there's value there to unlock. And car companies are saying, well, why are we going to give that to Apple? Why can't we do that?
Self-driving, which is what they're aiming at, is getting the AI technology working to the point that you can put these cars on the road and not have them hit and kill people. And I don't think Apple's at that point right now.
What in the world would an Apple car cost?
The average transaction price for a new vehicle in this country is $40,000 as of December. So people are not spending small amounts. And when you think about the technology that's going to go into electrification and autonomous, it's going to make vehicles extremely expensive.